Yo, hoop fans, your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Orlando Magic and Charlotte Hornets. In the high-octane arena of the NBA, an enthralling face-off is on the horizon as the Orlando Magic, boasting a solid 35-26 record, are set to clash with the beleaguered Charlotte Hornets, who are currently languishing with a 15-46 tally. The battleground is Charlotte's home court, where each team's current momentum could not be more different. The Magic are riding high on a commanding 113-91 triumph over the Detroit Pistons, a victory that showcased their grit and finesse. Meanwhile, the Hornets are trying to shake off the sting of a tight 111-106 loss to the Toronto Raptors, highlighting their ongoing struggles this season. Analyzing the stats, the Magic's offense may not be the most dynamic, averaging 111.5 points per game, 26th in the league, but it's their sharp shooting at 47.7% from the field that speaks volumes about their careful shot selection and knack for seizing scoring chances. This was particularly evident in Paolo Banchero's standout game against the Pistons. Furthermore, their 35.3% shooting from downtown and a reliable 75.3% from the charity stripe enhanced their scoring playbook. On the boards, Orlando grabs an average of 42.9 rebounds per game, showcasing their prowess in controlling the paint. On the flip side, the Hornets have been struggling to hit their stride, with a field goal percentage of 45.8%, 26th in the league, and an average score of 107.6 points per game, reflecting their scoring struggles. Despite these obstacles, players like Brandon Miller have had moments of brilliance, such as his 26-point game against the Raptors. However, Charlotte's defensive lapses, giving up 118.0 points per game, and their difficulty in rebounding, with 45.4 boards conceded per game, have significantly hampered their season. Orlando's defensive strength, allowing just 109.9 points per game and ranking 5th in defense, is a key to their success. Their knack for disrupting plays, with 15.0 turnovers forced per game and tight perimeter defense, allowing only 35.7% from beyond the arc, highlight their strategic discipline. This, compared to Charlotte's struggles, especially in defending the three-point line, 38.2% allowed, suggests Orlando has the upper hand in this duel. Looking at past matchups in Charlotte, the victories have been evenly split, but Orlando's edge in defense and Charlotte's inefficiencies point towards a likely victory for the Magic. Despite the Hornets' valiant efforts in recent matches, Orlando's cohesive offense and defensive sharpness should carry the day. In the grand scheme of the NBA, where efficiency and a solid defense often set the pace and outcome of games, the Orlando Magic emerge as the more poised and formidable team. Their dual threat capability, particularly in pivotal moments, coupled with the Hornets' defensive frailties and erratic offense, make us Orlando the clear favorite. Yet, with the Hornets' tenacity and the unpredictability of a home game, they could potentially defy expectations and cover the spread, especially considering the Magic's average offense. The 9.5-point spread might be slightly generous for an Orlando team that tends to be involved in close encounters. In summary, the Orlando Magic are in a prime position to extend their winning streak, using their defensive superiority and efficient offense to beat the Charlotte Hornets. However, anticipate a tight contest, with the Hornets likely to cover the spread, rendering them a sound choice against the odds. Therefore, I recommend betting on the Charlotte Hornets to cover the 9.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers. On a crisp Tuesday evening at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the Boston Celtics, buoyed by a commanding 140-88 triumph over the Golden State Warriors, gear up to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are eager to make a strong comeback after their 107-98 defeat by the New York Knicks. Sporting an impressive 48-12 record, the Celtics step onto the court as 3.5-point favorites on the road, signaling a showdown that underscores their relentless drive for supremacy this season. The Celtics scoring machine is firing on all cylinders, averaging 121.3 points per game, ranking 3rd in the league, with a blistering field goal percentage of 48.7%. Their sharpshooting from the three-point line is just as remarkable, connecting on 38.6% of their shots. But Boston is more than a scoring powerhouse. They've built a fortress of a defense, limiting opponents to 109.9 points per game, the fourth best in the NBA, and excel in forcing turnovers and lowering opponents' shooting efficiency. The Cavaliers, with a respectable 39-21 ledger, bring a well-rounded game and a formidable defense to the table. They mirror the Celtics in efficiency, averaging 114.4 points and shooting 48.1% from the field. Their defensive mettle is almost on par with Boston's, conceding a mere 109.5 points per game and ranking second in defensive prowess across the league. Recent matchups slightly favor Boston, highlighted by Jaylen Brown's electrifying 29-point performance against the Warriors and a team effort that led to a record-setting victory margin. The Cavaliers, meanwhile, felt the absence of their top scorer, Donovan Mitchell, and struggled to hold back the Knicks' offense, raising some eyebrows. In their latest face-offs, the Celtics have consistently outplayed the Cavaliers, with a winning streak that underscores their cohesion and dominance. Historical performance in Cleveland further cements Boston's edge, proving their capability to thrive under pressure and in challenging environments. Injuries might tip the scales in this clash. Even with Kristaps Porzingis potentially sidelined, Boston's squad, with Jason Tatum in stellar form, looks daunting. Cleveland's chances could pivot on Mitchell's participation, with his game-time decision adding a layer of unpredictability. Considering both teams' track records, especially in back-to-back games, Boston's depth and resilience emerge as key differentiators. Without Mitchell, Cleveland might struggle to match Boston's scoring barrage and defensive solidity. Summing up, given the Celtics' superior shooting efficiency and their balanced excellence on both ends of the floor, along with their devastating recent form, they're well-positioned not just to win, but to also surpass the point spread against the Cavaliers. Boston's consistent performance, especially in Cleveland, alongside their historical edge, positions them as clear favorites. Despite the Cavaliers' impressive season, Boston's form and statistical edge are likely to see them continue their win streak. My money's on the Boston Celtics to clinch the victory and beat the 3.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Philadelphia 76ers and Brooklyn Nets. In an electrifying Eastern Conference clash, the Philadelphia 76ers are hitting the road to square off against the Brooklyn Nets at the Barclays Center, promising a showdown filled with suspense and excitement. With the Sixers currently holding the fifth spot at a 35-25 record, and the Nets lagging behind at 11th with a 24-36 tally, this game arrives at a critical moment for both squads as they aim to solidify or climb. In the playoff rankings, Philadelphia steps into this game with a mix of highs and lows, having evenly split their last 10 matches. Despite this roller coaster ride, the Sixers have dazzled at moments, notably in their wins against the Hornets and Mavericks. Averaging 117.1 points on 47% shooting, the team has been led by Tyrese Maxey, stepping up in the absence of Joel Embiid. Yet, Embiid's sidelining is a significant blow, affecting the team's scoring punch and defensive solidity. On the flip side, the Nets have had their share of ups and downs, also splitting their last 6 outings. Their battles with the Hawks showed promise, but a defeat to the Grizzlies at home casts doubts on their consistency, particularly in consecutive games, a challenge they've yet to overcome this season. Historically, the 76ers have had the upper hand over the Nets, clinching victory in 9 out of their last 10 meetings. This historical edge is pivotal, yet Embiid's absence evens out the odds, offering Brooklyn a chance to tip the scales. Considering both teams' form, Philadelphia's firepower and tenacity, even minus Embiid, against Brooklyn's home court leverage and the need to rebound from recent stumbles, this matchup is shaping up to be a nail-biter. Both teams exhibit contrasting strengths, with the Sixers' sharpshooting and free throw accuracy up against the Nets' three-point prowess and rebounding superiority. The outcome may hinge on who capitalizes on their offensive opportunities and mounts effective defensive resistance. Injuries play a significant role in this contest. With Embiid out, Sixers like Maxey and Harris need to significantly elevate their game. The Nets, in better health, should push the pace and exploit Philadelphia's diminished defense. Taking into account Philadelphia's injury challenges, Brooklyn's home advantage, and past encounters, this game is set for a tight finish. While the Sixers strive to keep their spot, Brooklyn's quest for a comeback, coupled with the home advantage and Philadelphia's vulnerabilities, slightly tips the balance towards the Nets, especially in overcoming the spread. With a close analysis of recent performances, statistical strengths, and historical rivalry, I'm leaning towards the Brooklyn Nets, managing to cover the three-point spread. Their home advantage, playoff urgency, and the Sixers' injury issues hint at Brooklyn's capacity to clinch a narrow win or keep the margin tight. Hence, the call is for the Brooklyn Nets to overcome the spread in a fiercely contested battle, showcasing both teams' determination to prevail. While this matchup is too close for a confident bet, the expectation leans towards the Brooklyn Nets covering the three-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Detroit Pistons and Miami Heat. In the electrifying and ever-shifting landscape of the NBA, we're gearing up for a captivating showdown in the Eastern Conference as the Miami Heat play host to the Detroit Pistons. The Heat have been on fire since the All-Star break, bagging wins in 6 out of their last 7 games. Their blend of tenacity and skill has left their rivals in the dust. Impressively, they've also managed to beat the odds in 9 out of their last 10 games, indicating a team that's finding its rhythm at the season's crunch time. With a 34-26 record, they're hot on the heels of the 6th-placed Magic, looking to dodge the play-in tournament. On the flip side, the Detroit Pistons are caught in a storm of setbacks, anchored to the league's lower echelons with a .951 record. Their recent performances have been riddled with difficulties, eking out just 1 win in their past 9 outings. The team is desperately seeking to regroup and find some consistency on the court. Their offense, which averages 112.1 points on 47.1% shooting, starkly contrasts their defensive struggles, conceding 121 points on 49.2% shooting. This highlights the significant hurdles they've faced this season. The Pistons, with talents like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren making waves, have the potential to catch the Heat off guard. Detroit's recent record against the spread, particularly as underdogs, injects an intriguing twist into this forecast. Their knack for covering in 7 out of their last 8 such encounters with the Heat merits attention. Considering the mental aspects and Miami's potential distraction by upcoming challenges, their focus in this matchup might wane. The Pistons' drive to redeem their season against the Heat's sometimes wavering intensity against lower-ranked teams suggests a tighter contest than expected. With these considerations in mind, it seems more likely that Detroit might cover the spread. Their perseverance against Miami's occasional lack of full engagement in these games hints at a close battle. Although the Heat are poised for the win, the Pistons are set to showcase their tenacity, likely keeping the score within the 11-point spread. Thus, the refined prediction tips towards the Detroit Pistons to cover the spread, fueled by their spirit and Miami's pattern in similar games. This matchup epitomizes the unpredictable dynamics of NBA games, making a case for the Pistons to cover, underscoring the league's intricate and unpredictable nature. My wager is on the Detroit Pistons to beat the 11-point spread, with total points falling below 220.5. The next prediction for today is for the game between Atlanta Hawks and New York Knicks. As the NBA season heats up entering its decisive phase, the Atlanta Hawks gear up for a blockbuster Eastern Conference showdown against the New York Knicks at the legendary Madison Square Garden. This matchup promises fireworks as both squads look to turn the tide on their recent downturns. With the Hawks at 10th in the East sporting a 26-34 tally and seeking redemption after dropping 5 of their last 7, and the Knicks positioned 4th with a 36-35 record, both are itching to get back on a winning track after the Knicks lost 7 out of their last 10 games. Zooming into team specifics, the Hawks' struggle with consistency, especially on defense, has left them vulnerable, conceding an average of 120.4 points on 46.5% shooting and allowing 122.7 points on 49.8% shooting, despite the offensive prowess of DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Trae Young's absence due to a finger injury is a significant blow to their offensive depth and creativity. Their recent back-to-back defeats to the Nets have highlighted flaws in shooting efficiency and rebounding, key factors against a Knicks squad known for their rebounding strength. On the flip side, the New York Knicks have demonstrated tenacity amidst their recent stumbles, scoring an average of 113.4 points on 46.4% shooting, while conceding 109.7 points on 47.4% shooting, they benefit from the stellar play of Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Despite injury woes, the Knicks' defensive might and league-leading rebounding efficiency lay a solid groundwork for success. Their impressive 2011 home record underlines their stronghold at Madison Square Garden, where they've historically outplayed the Hawks. In direct confrontations in New York, the Knicks have dominated, clinching 7 out of the last 10 encounters. This, coupled with the Hawks' defensive woes and the Knicks' rebounding supremacy, suggests an edge for the hosts. Nonetheless, injuries introduce a wild card factor to the equation. Considering current form, head-to-head stats, and the Knicks' impressive home performance, the forecast tilts towards New York dispatching Atlanta, chiefly due to the Hawks' defensive deficiencies and recent struggles. The Knicks' board control and defensive rigor, coupled with Tom Thibodeau's strategic insights, should craft a winning formula against the Hawks. To wrap up, amidst injuries and the quest for form, the New York Knicks stand poised for triumph at Madison Square Garden. Their defensive cohesiveness, rebounding prowess, and home court advantage are likely to secure them a victory and cover the minus 2.5 point spread against the Hawks. With offensive uncertainties for both teams, expect a defense-dominated game leaning towards under 216.5 points. Betting on the New York Knicks to win and cover the spread seems a savvy choice, leveraging their home field advantage in this Eastern Conference face-off. The next prediction for today is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Toronto Raptors. In an electrifying clash, the New Orleans Pelicans are set to face off against the Toronto Raptors in a showdown that's bound to rivet NBA fans and betting aficionados. The Pelicans, boasting a strong season tally of 36-25, have proven themselves as a formidable adversary, particularly following their commanding victory over the Pacers, flaunting a remarkable field goal success rate of 55.8%. Brandon Ingram's explosive contribution of 34 points, hitting the net at an astounding 61.9% efficiency, highlights the team's offensive might. Conversely, the Raptors, despite a less stellar record of 23-38, clinched a win against the Hornets, even in the absence of pivotal players, showcasing their grit and squad depth. The Raptors face hurdles with injuries, especially with the potential sideline of Jakob Poeltl, which might dent their clash with the Pelicans. Yet, Toronto's knack for rallying and overcoming adversity shone through in their latest triumph, with players like R.J. Barrett rising to the occasion. Stat-wise, the Pelicans overshadow the Raptors on several fronts, including a superior points-per-game average and field goal accuracy. New Orleans also leads in three-point conversions and free-throw precision, elements crucial to tilting the game in their favor. Moreover, their prowess in snagging rebounds, both on the offensive and defensive ends, furnishes them with extra scoring chances while curtailing their rivals' opportunities for second-chance points. Historically, the Pelicans' ventures into Toronto have seen mixed fortunes, with a 3-10 record in their last 13 road games. Nevertheless, their recent face-offs suggest a narrowing gap, pointing to a potentially tighter contest than the records imply. The Raptors, on their turf, have a solid track record of beating the spread, adding an extra twist to the game's forecast. Considering the Pelicans' offensive dynamism, spearheaded by Ingram's scoring and playmaking, they're tipped as the frontrunners. However, the Raptors' tenacity and strategic finesse, particularly in navigating through injuries and leveraging their home advantage, should not be discounted. With the Pelicans' offensive edge, especially in shooting from the field and beyond the arc, coupled with their rebounding dominance, they're pegged to have the upper hand. Yet, the Raptors' prowess in clutch situations and their historical edge at home render them a formidable adversary. Factoring in the Pelicans' current momentum and statistical superiority, they're poised to emerge victorious, but a closely fought battle with the Raptors narrowly covering the 9-point spread is anticipated. The total points are expected to fall short of the 230-point benchmark, given both squads' recent defensive strides and the Raptors' scoring challenges sans key players. To sum up, while the Pelicans are the favorites, the Raptors' knack for covering the spread is worth betting on, setting the stage for a nail-biting engagement. My bet is on the Toronto Raptors to cover the 9-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between San Antonio Spurs and Houston Rockets. On this electrifying Tuesday evening, The San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets are about to throw down in a showdown that's got the basketball world buzzing. Both squads are in a fierce scramble to snag a win that could flip their recent skids. San Antonio's been on a rough ride, dropping 12 of their last 15, while Houston's also been in a slump, losing 5 of their last 7. Guided by the legendary Greg Popovich, the Spurs have had their moments of magic despite the rough patch, sporting an offense that's netting an average of 112.3 points on a 46.2% shooting clip and a defense surrendering 120.3 points on 49.2% shooting. It's been a roller coaster of performance. Victor Wembanyama, a sensation averaging 20.9 points and 10.2 rebounds, along with Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, are primed to light up the Rockets' defense, especially from deep, where the Spurs are hitting 34.7%. The Rockets, however, are no pushovers, especially on their turf, edging out the Spurs with an offense scoring 112.8 points on 45.5% shooting and a defense that's a bit tighter, allowing 113 points on 46% shooting. Houston's dynamic crew, spearheaded by Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green, is a force to reckon with. Their quick transitions and Sengun's slick offensive moves could throw a wrench in the Spurs' plans. Houston's got the home court hustle and the boost from their fans, key in tight contests. Plus, Fred VanVleet's savvy playmaking and Sengun's assists per game underscore Houston's edge in orchestrating plays, a critical asset against the defensively shaky Spurs. Looking back at recent matchups, the Rockets have had the upper hand, clinching wins and covering the spread in 3 of the last 4 faceoffs against the Spurs. This streak, combined with the Spurs' erratic showings and the question mark over Wembanyama's play due to a shoulder injury, points to a Rockets victory. The stakes are sky high for both teams, but it's Houston eyeing that coveted play-in tourney slot. Weighing up the stats, form, and home court influence, the smart money is on the Houston Rockets not just to win, but to beat the spread at minus 6.5 points. The vibe in the Toyota Center, together with Houston's athleticism and emerging talents, should propel them past San Antonio. With the point total set at 232, expect a shootout, but watch for Houston to dictate the tempo and exploit the Spurs' defensive leaks. All said, while the Spurs will battle hard, the Rockets are tipped to reign supreme at home and beat the spread in a clash likely to soar past the point tally, showcasing both teams' offensive prowess and defensive gaps. My wager: the Houston Rockets take the win and cover the 7-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Indiana Pacers and Dallas Mavericks. In an eagerly awaited clash at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, the Indiana Pacers and the Dallas Mavericks are set to battle it out on the hardwood. Both squads, locked in the 8th spot within their respective conferences, are hungry for a win to fuel their playoff dreams. The Pacers, holding a 34-28 record, aim to shake off a rough patch after dropping 3 out of their last 4 matchups. Meanwhile, the Mavericks, slightly behind with a 34-27 tally, are looking to bounce back from a tough streak, having lost 4 out of their last 5 games. Their last face-off was a show of dominance by the Pacers, who trounced the Mavericks 133-111, making this rematch one to watch. The Pacers' offensive firepower has been lighting up scoreboards, leading the league with an explosive 123.3 points per game and shooting a solid 50.5% from the field. They're also sharpshooters from downtown, ranking 6th in three-point efficiency. Yet, their defense leaves much to be desired, giving up an average of 122 points per game. Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton have been key in their scoring spree, though their defense, particularly in away games, raises questions. On the flip side, the Dallas Mavericks have been putting up a strong offensive front themselves, averaging 118.7 points per game, largely thanks to the dynamic duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Even with Doncic's participation uncertain due to an ankle injury, the Mavericks have shown depth and the ability to keep the scoreboard ticking. However, like the Pacers, their defensive game has been their weak link, conceding an average of 118 points per game. The face-off in Dallas is poised to be a pivotal one. The Pacers struggle to lock down opponents on the road, and the Mavericks' robust scoring at home hint at a nail-biter. Doncic's potential absence could notably influence the Mavericks' game plan and scoring. Considering both teams' recent form and their track record in Dallas, a tight contest is anticipated. The Mavericks have a slight edge on the boards and are poised to exploit the Pacers' defensive lapses, especially if Doncic hits the court. The Pacers' challenge in curtailing high-scoring opponents, especially on the road, will be critical. After delving into both teams' offensive prowess and defensive challenges, the Mavericks are favored to leverage their home court advantage. Despite the Pacers' scoring ability, their defensive frailties, especially in away settings, may be their undoing in this encounter. Factoring in the odds with a 4.5-point advantage for the Mavericks and an over-under total point line of 245.5, a high-octane game is expected, showcasing both teams' offensive strengths and defensive shortcomings. Assuming Doncic plays, the Mavericks stand a good chance to not only win, but also cover the spread. The total points are likely to surpass the 245.5 mark, fueled by the offensive prowess on display. In sum, the Mavericks are tipped to clinch the win and beat the 4.5-point spread, with the total points set to top, 245.5. This encounter is shaping up to be an offensive spectacle, spotlighting the capabilities and weaknesses of both teams in a crucial juncture of their season. My money's on the Mavericks to come out on top and cover the spread. The last prediction for today is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Denver Nuggets. In the electrifying atmosphere of the NBA spotlight, the Phoenix Suns are gearing up for a high-stakes showdown against the Denver Nuggets. The Suns, hungry for a comeback after a series of mixed results, have shown both brilliance and flaws in their recent outings, splitting their last 10 games. Despite stumbling against the Rockets and Thunder, and possibly missing key players like Devin Booker and Jusuf Nurkic, Phoenix still boasts considerable threat with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, who have the power to swing the game in their favor. The Suns shine offensively, racking up an average of 117.1 points on 49.3% shooting, and are sharpshooters from the three-point line, hitting 37.6%. However, their defense has been leaky, conceding 114.4 points on average, and their inability to clutch up in the fourth quarter raises red flags. Conversely, the Denver Nuggets are entering this matchup on a wave of momentum, stringing together 6 consecutive wins against tough competition, demonstrating their solid team synergy and grit. With Nikola Jokic at the helm, alongside Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., the Nuggets have mounted a well-rounded offensive and defensive campaign, averaging 114.5 points on 49.3% shooting, while tightening the screws defensively to allow just 110.3 points on average. Their dominance in rebounding and restricting opponents' three-point success are key components of their game strategy. The injury situation introduces an extra element of intrigue, with the Suns facing significant challenges due to the absence of Devin Booker and possibly others, potentially hindering their depth and scoring prowess. The Nuggets, despite potential missing pieces, have proven their adaptability and depth, stepping up when it matters most. The recent track record tips in favor of the Nuggets, who have excelled at home with a 24-5 straight-up record and have outplayed the Suns in 5 of their last 7 matchups, including a commanding away win last December. The Suns' struggles in closing games, particularly in the last stretch, when contrasted with the Nuggets' strong home advantage and their current hot streak, suggest Denver has the upper hand. When dissecting both teams' recent performances and the dynamics of this clash, including home versus away records, player availability, and past encounters, it's clear that the Nuggets have the advantage. Denver's consistent execution on both ends of the floor, combined with Phoenix's vulnerabilities, especially without Booker, signals a tough night ahead for the Suns. In the betting arena, the Nuggets, despite a spotty against-the-spread record this season, have been hitting their stride lately, hinting at a potential edge in this encounter. With the over-under pegged at 224 points, and considering the offensive and defensive metrics of both squads, the game is expected to circle around this total, especially with Phoenix's offensive challenges without Booker and Denver's defensive solidity. Considering the Suns' recent form, downturn, injury woes, and the Nuggets' formidable home presence and streak, Denver is set to not just win, but also beat the minus 8.5-point spread. The Nuggets' balanced onslaught and staunch defense are likely to secure them a commanding win, further boosting their standings. Thus, in a battle that promises a mix of skill and tactical prowess, my money's on the Denver Nuggets to clinch a double-digit home win, covering the spread and edging towards an over on the total points.